What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. In this one, I am very excited to share with you a road base that I built, and I believe this is the best location for a road base that we have in DCS. It's extremely difficult to find good locations for road bases in DCS, pretty much on any map for a myriad of reasons. The roads are either not straight enough, not long enough, or they're too narrow, or they have obstacles, or they have trees, or they have lampposts. So finding a location with a 4-lane road that's straight and flat and long enough is very tricky, but I got one here and I believe this is the best place. I'm going to reveal to you that very shortly. But today we'll also be flying a little mission. We'll be flying a Ukrainian Flanker, port number 08. You might recognize this jet from some photos on Google because it's carrying HARM missiles. But today we're not carrying any HARMs. Today we are armed with a pair of R-27ERs, a pair of R-27ETs, and a pair of R-73s. And our mission is going to be quite reminiscent of those flown by the Ukrainian Air Force, especially single ship out of a dispersal airfield such as this. Today we are going to be intercepting some cruise missiles which are launched from a Tu-95. So our job is going to be to scramble and intercept those missiles as quickly as we can. However, if we don't manage to do it, we do have point defense for the base. We've got Gepards on various corners of the airfield. We also have NASAMs located here, and this is the location at the base. You can see it's just to the east of Krimsk, and if you come to a little town called Abinsk, you can just go east of that and you'll see there's a road here. It's about 1,300 meters that we can get out of it before it starts to have a little kink and makes a turn. Now, real life, there's a couple of trees there and some lampposts that could probably be brought down to extend it a little bit. 1,300 meters is long enough to operate a flanker with a chute or without a chute, but it is quite limiting. It is fairly tight, but it is doable and it is quite realistic, or as realistic as we're going to get in DCS. And as usual, for those of you who are Patreon supporters, thank you very much to you, and apologies about the lack of content recently. I will upload this mission file as usual to my Google Drive, and you guys can enjoy it as much as you want. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's hop in the jet and get cracking. We have 2 good engine starts. You're clear to disconnect the headset. We'll see you on the left with the pin. Thanks a lot. Alright, let's get the show on the road, everybody. Canopy is coming down, and we'll taxi out. So this road base here is based on Ukrainian assets, so you'll see we've got a Gepard there and a couple of NASAMs just parked up. We've got a couple of Ukrainian Su-27 Flankers here. There's 3 based at this road base at the moment, and they're getting loaded up with all the equipment and R-27 missiles, it looks like. Out there in the distance is a NASAM's battery protecting the base, and we've got emergency vehicles here on standby, just getting ready, and we've got another German Gepard here, which was obviously delivered to Ukraine not that long ago as well for point defense, and those are the flankers out there getting ready. So let's line up with the runway. Landing lights are coming on as well. Nice and gentle here. Let's line up with the center. We've got about 1,300 meters worth of runway to play with. And right, let's just see if we have everything set. Trims are set. Flight controls check. Landing lights are on. Alright, excellent. let's go. Flaps are down. Set 90. Off brakes ready now. Full burner. Lay back on the stick. Easing off. Airborne. Gears coming up. Flaps are coming up. Now we'll be getting vectored onto these cruise missiles, but we're going to fly a heading of about 210 degrees. We're not going to go too high, we're going to stay underneath radar coverage for any potential enemy assets here as well. We will go in full burner now just to get there as quickly as we possibly can. So there's roughly the heading that we need. We'll go barometric altitude hold, make our life simple, get the radar on, go to BBR mode. Missiles are probably going to go towards us, so we'll change the PRF to, in Russian, what's called PPS. It's Vedение Полусфера. Right, we're looking out here in the distance, and we can go left and right on the radar as well. Right, we can use radar down a little bit. I don't want to go too high, because I know these missiles, it'll be easier to search for them if we are lower. But maybe we'll go to interleaved. There we go, which is автомат in Russian. Searching, but I ain't got nothing. Oh, there we go. There we go. Right. Let's lock one of them. Let's get an ET out there if we can. There we go, well within range, so now we'll try and get another one. Get another ET. The good thing about these ETs is that you can fire them off and break lock. Right, I think I'm going to point the radar down, there we go. Get another one, and let's get an ER out here. This is 27 ER. Hopefully we get that. I'm going to maintain lock on it. Gets a splash. Ah, it missed. R73. What, R73s? Well, the problem with these, get another R73 out there. Come on. Yes. Alright, the problem with these cruise missiles, right, this one is turned off course actually, making things much more confusing. Is that they have a ridiculously low heat signature, so trying to hit them with ERs, or rather ETs, any Fox 2 missiles is quite difficult. So I don't know if we've actually got the other ones. Got the radar on 0 elevation, so we'll just turn around here. We'll see if we got them, because I'm not actually 100% sure. Oh, okay. Oh, shoot. There we go. There's one. Come on. Lock it up. Right. Let's see. Put the burner in. It's coming right towards us. I think. Alright. There we go. There's Fox 1. And let's see if it hits. It's going to hit. It's going to hit. There's a high chance of these things missing. We're out of missiles, so we're going to... there we go. Splash. Okay, let's just cut over to TAC view just to see what happened with this intercept, because it's quite interesting. So I fired off an R27ET, broke lock immediately because obviously this is a Fox 2 missile, so I thought it would be tracking a heat signature. Picked up a second HA-65 cruise missile, fired off an R27ET onto that. As you can see, both of them, they went completely rogue. They weren't even tracking and totally trashed. Complete waste of time. I guess the heat signature of these missiles is quite low. That's why I didn't track very well. So fired off an R27ER. At this point, that's a radar guided missile. I have no idea why it missed there. I really have no idea. And I fired off an R73, which looked like it wanted to track initially. Also totally trashed. So that is now 4 missiles down and 0 targets destroyed. Finally, I got an R73 into the tailpipe of that HA-65. So at this point I thought that these 2 missiles, which are now behind us, I thought they were probably shot down, but I obviously didn't realize just how bad R-27 ATs are against them. And so at this point, I'm still scouring the sky for what I thought was the remaining missile, this other Ha-65. So I'll basically just bring my nose around the horizon, just using the radar, and eventually pick it up and fire off an R-27 ER. This time pretty much a direct headshot. Absolutely no reason for why, you know, it should miss. So there we go. So you can see that missile did a whole kind of orbit there, which I don't know if that's just a bug in DCS or if that's what it's supposed to do to try and confuse the enemy. By the way, one of these missiles that sneak through, one of them hit the hills by the looks of it, and the last one, which again at this point, if we had GCI ground controllers, they would of course be able to have some sort of information of where that missile might be. But in our case, we cannot use the AWACS in DCS, so we had no choice. Anyway, that missile got close, got shot down by the NASAMS, so at the end, nothing on our side was really destroyed or damaged, which is great. So we'll pick up the action again now as we come into land. The road base is here. We're just going to do a break overhead the field effectively, and we'll fly close to it and then come back and set ourselves up for landing, which there will be a couple of challenges involved with that, of course, because it is a road base, so it's going to be quite tricky. So we'll discuss that in a second. But yeah, the Flanker is my absolute favorite jet. I've seen these things fly around when I was a kid at the airbase next to the house, and it was absolutely amazing. I always thought I'd be flying one of these, but life didn't turn out that way. Now I'm flying airliners, which is not a bad life, but yeah, not a day goes by that I don't sulk about not being a fighter pilot. But anyway, I digress. Here we go. Here's our road base. Let's make a break here, and we'll come off onto the reciprocal heading. You want to give yourself quite a lot of room. We're also looking for about 300 meters, by the way. It's quite difficult to judge in the Su-27 here because we don't have the radio altimeter until we sort of roll out a little bit and see we're actually at 500 meters, but that's fine. The ground does also change elevation here. So we're looking for a heading of, it's below 500 kph, by the way, so the gear is coming down. We're looking for a heading of 099, and I think it's true heading here in the height of the Russian aircraft. So we'll go 099, there we go, and we'll get the flaps out as well. So we're just flying our downwind leg here. Now this is going to get a little bit tricky in terms of getting our references and everything sorted. I will just descend down to 300 meters, and we'll keep the speed now 320. We'll just get it back to about 340 or so. So the references are going to be a little more tricky. Now what I've done is, if you see this hedgerow here, what I'm looking at right there leading up to the main road that the base is on, in fact, let's just level off a little bit. I'm using that as a reference. So once we sort of overfly or fly next to it, that's my cue to start. We're just coming up to it now. That's my cue to start the turn. I'll try and maintain that 300. That 300 is changing constantly, by the way, because the ground underneath us is changing, even though we're flying relatively level. So getting our references here on the crosswind leg, on the base leg, it's going to be a little more tricky than normal because the road is quite narrow, and we obviously have no PAPI lights to help us along as well. And judging all our turns and everything is going to be a little more tricky. So I think we're a little bit high here. So we're just going to start our descent. Speed is slightly on the higher side. That's fine for our turns here. We'll just keep it right about there at 350. We'll slow it down once we roll out on heading on final. It's a little fast. Just slow down a little. There we go. That's looking pretty good. So there's our runway. It's about 1,300 meters long. In real life, they cut the trees down a little further down on that side where the other Su-27s are parked. And we'll just get the speed down to about 310 for landing. Alright, final checks, gear down, flaps down. We do have the speed brake retracted, which is good. Right, 310 is good, maintaining that. Oh, we've got radars anyway, let's get the radar off. That's good. Don't have too much distance to play with, so you don't want to... This is not about getting a greaser, this is about getting it on the threshold. Right, speed brake coming out, idle thrust. There we go, and the drag chute's coming out. A little bit of backstick there to ease it on onto the ground. And with the drag chute, it's absolutely no problem. If you don't want to use the drag chute, you can slow it down at 1300 meters as well. It's completely doable. Sorry, I'm going to turn the RWR sound down. This is not necessary now at this point. So you can totally do it. Now, as you can see, I have the final threshold markers out here, because when you're coming in from the other side, you have to deal with all those lampposts and the trees. And let's just get rid of the drag chute there behind us. And air brake can come in. And let's get the landing lights off now, because don't want to blind anybody. I'll just swing out a little bit here to make this turn. You've got to be quite careful. Su-27 does have a pretty decent turning radius, actually. It can do pretty tight turns. You got to remember though that the pilot is overhanging in front of the nose gear by quite some margin, so you have to sort of overshoot your turns a little bit when you're on these tight roads. And the problem with, you know, DCS and making road bases is always the fact that you're in these single carriageways. And as you can see, for an Su-27, well, that's just highly unrealistic. I mean, nobody in their right mind is going to be using this kind of road to land on in real life. It's too narrow. So we definitely are limited by the roads that we have on the maps. And I think, I mean, I haven't searched or scoured the Sinai map yet, but in terms of the Syria map, I spent ages looking. I couldn't find a really good place for a realistic sort of location for a road base where the road is straight. It's got 4 lanes and all that kind of stuff. There's the NASMs, by the way. We'll just pull up to this tug here, and then the ground crew can push us back into our little parking space here. It's actually ideal that that the map has a little spot here. Absolutely perfect. Right, I'm just gonna come in and just stop ahead here. Now you got to remember that the nose overhangs by quite some margin, so we're just gonna stop there. I think that's pretty good. All right, canopy's coming open. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. If you have anything to comment down below in terms of road bases, any good locations DCS that I may have never come across, please make sure to do so. Otherwise, tell me if you're interested in seeing some more missions flown out of the road base and anything in particular. I was thinking about the Su-27 with the harms, and that could be quite fun. But anyway, let me know, and hopefully I shall catch you in the next one. Adios.